Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool will relish the start of the new season. The European champions are looking to build on their second-placed Premier League finish, which saw them register the most points in a single season, with 97, without winning the title, and the third highest points total in Premier League history. Jurgen Klopp has said his side will have to be very, very close to perfection to finish ahead of Manchester City. It's hard to see obvious areas to improve on, but what should Liverpool do next to develop? We've spoken to fans and journalists, the people close to the club, to get their view. Let us know yours in the comments below.
Liverpool have got to spend the summer, I think, first and foremost, recovering from last season, because both emotionally and physically, absolutely draining. You know, Liverpool were in a title challenge from like September, pretty much. You know, that was the point at which any mistake would have proved costly, you know, dropping points. Every missed kick of the ball became hyper-analysed, so there's that. Obviously, then there's the exertions of getting all the way to the Champions League final, then there's the party that followed.
My understanding is that Liverpool don't want to do much, and they think on the back of a season where they've got 97 points, it's the third highest amount of points that any side has ever got. What more can they do? The issue for Liverpool is that they finished behind Manchester City, and Manchester City are going to strengthen.
Liverpool somehow have to figure out how to go even better next season, because I don't think Man City are going anywhere, unfortunately. So we need to try and repeat that season points-wise, or maybe even add a few. It's really tough to know how you do that, but I think if you look at the front three, they're obviously absolutely amazing, one of the most feared strike forces in world football, but the drop-off after those is quite stark, really. So I think a little bit more firepower off the bench, someone who's going to allow the likes of Salah and Mane to have a little bit of a rest.
I think what next for Liverpool is maintaining this level of success. Liverpool teams in previous sort of eras have had success, but in 1-2 year stints. What Jurgen Klopp's side need to do now is we need to sort of build on this and make this into a 4, 5, 6 year dynasty, sort of like what Chelsea have done. Pains me to say it, but what Manchester City are doing, and of course what Manchester United have done.
They probably need maybe a little bit more strength in depth, but you have people like Joe Gomez, you have people like Trent Alexander. If they are fit, that will help massively. Maybe another midfield player, but Keita didn't play the full season. They have a really, really strong squad.
How do you improve on that when you live in a world where Manchester City could quite easily put another 100-point season up? That's the biggest problem. What Liverpool will probably look to do is say, look, we're probably not going to get more than 97 points this time around, but if you can aim for that again, you play the law of averages and you trust that. Because in most seasons that's enough to win the league, you've got to trust that that'll be enough to win you the league this time.
We only lost one game all season, which was Leicester Man City, but obviously we drew more games. So you're looking at those draws thinking, how can we turn more of those into wins? Who's a player that we can throw on 70 minutes who's going to offer something different, who's going to offer a real threat?
Of course, you know, Klopp's first trophy as Liverpool manager is a European Cup. No one can take that away from him. But now what we want to do is cement our sort of position domestically. I think the league is vitally important, but I think at the same time, if you ask any Manchester City fan what trophy they would have wanted to win this season, I think they would have said the Champions League. So I think in that point of view, we've almost done the hardest first. We're the best in Europe. So now I think what we need to do is domestically, possibly them draws at sort of the West Hams, the draws at home to Leicester, that we really just need to, we need to be perfect. You can't be near perfect. It needs to be perfect. So I think in going forward next season, just build on league success and looking to eventually be crowned the Kings of England again.
I think the hardest thing for Liverpool this summer is the players that they've got after they gave so much this season. They've got to get up again and go for it.
I think for the first time in years, Liverpool don't go into a transfer window desperately looking for the missing piece of the puzzle. The team's there, it's complete. It's about bolstering the squad and maybe, and by that I mean quality and depth. Now, we know Daniel Sturridge is leaving the club. Alberto Moreno's leaving the club.
Daniel Sturridge gets that big goal away at Chelsea, of course, but he He starts a few games throughout the season as well, gets a start and a goal against PSG in the Champions League. Towards the end of the season, he plays and starts in the final against Huddersfield. There just a few. So he is getting our game here and there, so he will need replacing. Same for Alberto Moreno. You know, he had a up and down Liverpool career, I think it's fair to say, but now it leaves us with really only one recognised left back in Andy Robertson. Joe Gomez can play a little bit there, and there's a couple of young lads as well, but I think the manager will be looking at left back as somewhere where he needs to strengthen and just allow Andy Robertson to have the odd game off. And obviously he might get injured as well. You know, we've been lucky with injuries with Robbo, but it might happen.
We'll probably see Simon Mignolet leave, and I think if we get good bids for the likes of Lovren and possibly, it would have to be a very good bid, but possibly Lallana, Liverpool might need to replace there. I think the good thing we've got is we've got some young talent coming through as well. We've got the likes of Ryan Brewster, who's going to get his opportunities to play in the first team, having trained with them for so long now. Finally back fully fit from injury. Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back, it's a bit of a cliche, but he missed almost the entirety of last season, and he was so pivotal in the season before that. Having him back will help, but Liverpool probably need to go in and buy, I would say, one definitely, two highly likely. Beyond that, it gets less and less likely. But I think if Liverpool can go and buy another of age, versatile attacking player, someone who can play in the 10, someone who can play left or right and cover in the centre forward position, I think kind of what City did with Riyad Mahrez last summer, that could make a big difference to Liverpool's title challenge.
So a few players been linked with Liverpool over the summer. Some of them old names that have been linked in the past. Naby Fekir kind of won't go away, which is really interesting. He came really close to signing for Liverpool last summer. Talk of a failing a medical and the fee being around £50 million. They didn't want to take the risk. Now that's come down a little bit. He's only got 12 months left in his contract. Liverpool maybe looking again, talk that if a reduced fee with only a year left, that they might be a bit more willing to take a gamble of him. He played a lot last season for Kieran, for Lyon, so obviously his knee's holding up all right in the French league, so it will be interesting to see if they're more tempted now he's only got a year left. Nicolas Pepe plays in France as well, someone we've been linked with a little bit. He's a wide forward, he looks like he can play a number of positions, which I think is something that will suit Liverpool as well, in terms of being able to rest different kind of forwards. You can see where he gets quite a lot of action for Liverpool, someone who can play off either side and maybe up front as well, or a little bit deeper if Liverpool decide to change the formation. So he's one that's been linked, looks a really exciting player. And Timo Werner as well, old classic, been linked to Liverpool a lot, but you will fancy that he will move sooner rather than later. Jurgen Klopp apparently does like his fellow German, so maybe he's one to watch as well. But someone of that class, you know, it's tough to get in this Liverpool squad now. You need to be a good player, but all those for you certainly fit the bill.
Obviously, Nicolas Pepe is the exciting young winger from the French league. I know people have sort of been sort of saying Klopp's interested in him. Obviously, Ousmane Dembele as well. But I think attacking wise, in those positions, we're really okay. I think what we really do struggle with, and I think this just goes back to the draws against Leicester and West Ham, is we need a Coutinho-esque player, whether that's Coutinho himself or indeed Nabil Fekir. Just that attacking midfielder, just to dip his shoulder, do a step over and play in the likes of Salah, the likes of Mane, because as I said, as Carragher's often said, if you look at the defence, it's a perfect midfield for the defence, but for the attack, I do think that we are just missing that magician, that Bernardo Silva, the one, as I said, to dip his shoulder and put something in the grass for the wingers and the strikers. So I think in terms of strengthening, I'd love to see Fekir. I think pride-wise, I think I'd take back Coutinho for sort of less than we sold him for. And I think that's basically it, because defence, we've got, I think this could be one of the best defences I've ever seen in terms of defensively and attack. And we've got two great playmakers at full-back in Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. So I think that sorts itself out. If Dejan Lovren leaves, I know he's linked with a move to Italy, to Serie A. I think strengthening wise, could we promote Hoover from we saw him play last year against Wolves, but failing that, I think we should probably be in the market for a centre half.
The biggest side effect of this Liverpool growth that we've seen under Jurgen Klopp the side effect of having Jurgen Klopp, the side effect of getting to back-to-back Champions League finals, the side effect of getting to right back to the almost to the summit of the Premier League, is that Liverpool's players have become far less poachable than before. Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane, these are our best players, and they're now at a football club that can fulfil their ambitions, which hasn't been the case, for years. Even recently, Phil Coutinho only left last season, but it was on the back of being at Liverpool for a number of years and having not won stuff in that period. And of course, then the law of Barcelona becomes quite weighty. You got Sadio Mane coming out unequivocally saying, "Nah, I'm all right. I love being at Liverpool. I get to challenge for the biggest things at Liverpool. That's fine by me. We're competitive in terms of wage and in terms of what the personal honours. Virgil van Dijk winning the PFA award, Mohamed Salah winning it the year before. It wouldn't shock me to see Virgil van Dijk in the Ballon d'Or shortlist this year, for example. Well, all of a sudden, Real Madrid and Barcelona, you're just winning slightly different variations on the same trophies. You're challenging for the league every season, tick, and you're challenging for the Champions League. Well, at the moment, Liverpool are better positions to challenge for the European Cup than even the might of Madrid, Munich and Barcelona. So this hopefully shouldn't be a summer of, there'll be rumour mongers, of course there will be, but no tangible threats to Liverpool's squad.
Off the pitch, Liverpool are looking really good, looking really strong. There was a little bit of a scepticism when FSG took over because of the past owners. We'd lived through Hicks and Gillette and those turbulent times. So when they sold to other American owners, a few people were a little bit suspicious. They didn't know huge amounts of about football when they first took over the club. So maybe made a few mistakes with their appointments, maybe were a little bit naive on certain things, and also their understanding of local fans wasn't the best either. But I think they've learned over time. I think they've spent time in the city. They've looked to improve the football knowledge and the knowledge of Liverpool in general. And, they've made a lot of good appointments recently. Obviously, the big one being Jurgen Klopp, the manager that we're all delighted with, who's now a European champion. But it's been incredible for this football club ever since he came in, really, and really understands the people and what we want from a football team. So Jurgen's great in terms of the network of support he's got from a transfer point of view. That Liverpool have been really strong in the transfer market recently. A lot of credit goes to people like Michael Edwards, who are the people who are making the deals happen and identifying the right players. And I think Liverpool as well, in terms of the management off the pitch, have done a lot to try and bond more closely with the supporters. So a lot of initiatives have come in, like hiring Tony Barrett as their club liaison officer, and to do a lot more work with fan organisations, just to kind of make it feel more like one club, rather than the players being separated from the owners, being separated from the fans. And now it feels like there's a lot more unity, there's a lot more togetherness, and we're all on the same page and fighting for the same thing, which is brilliant.
It's weird. Liverpool have become this mad, harmonious entity over the last 18 months, 2 years. There were questions over Liverpool's ownership. Never truly vociferous, but they certainly existed. There were some fringe groups that were rather unhappy with their stewardship of the club. They've made some mistakes, to be sure, but largely they've taken a lot of the learnings from that on board and moved forward. And we've sold players, but we've reinvested the money. Money's been invested. We've seen Anfield being improved. There's plans to continue to improve and grow Anfield. We've got the best manager, we think, in world football. We've got some of the best players. So, yeah, for it's been a long stretch under Liverpool's owners, FSG, but finally it feels like the whole club from top to bottom seems to be in true top working order.
It's ran absolutely impeccably, to be honest. I know when FSG first came in, sort of in the Hodgson era, they had to balance books, signings weren't right away. But that's what you've got to do if you want to run a sustainable business. And I think they've done that through buying and selling. And ultimately they've made their best signing was Jurgen Klopp in 2015. I think what he's done for the club, you can't overstate sorry enough, because he's literally changed a 11th place side when Brendan Rodgers had to depart. He took his first season to see where we finished, to see how he was like, to see the players that he'd like. And ultimately he's changed us from that 11th place team to the champions of Europe. And it could have been, bar some questionable defending last year, a back-to-back Champions League winner. I think only Real Madrid have done that in recent years. And I just think what we're doing now is we've transformed our transfer policy. As you've seen, certain clubs, certain top 6 clubs, sort of panic buying in the market. They don't really have a structure and where to go. I think if you ask Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool fans who they want to sign, we have a definite idea of what fits Liverpool and what fits, more importantly, Klopp. We've taken Milner, who wasn't wanted by Manchester City. We took him on a free transfer. He's now vice captain and a champion of Europe. Big money was spent out on Alisson and Van Dijk. I think they're 2 of the best decisions you could ever have done, to be honest. And I think in going forward, just trust Klopp, because ultimately he makes the right decision on every player. We've got Chamberlain to come back. We've got Keita's looking exciting. And I think off the pitch, where other clubs and other teams are sort of looking for either Galactico or someone to build upon, we're very good at signing that in the middle player to further them on to a world class. Roberto Firmino, Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane are just some of the examples of that. And I just think that is where we've been getting it right in recent years. We've gone from signing sort of the Andy Carrolls, the projects that haven't worked, to suddenly developing these international players who were, as I said, middle of the ground, into world beaters. So I think off the pitch we were absolutely spot on, model club.
There's going to be a kind of like an exhaling of effort because they put so much into this season. The difficulty for any team is after you've done so much, you've got to go again. It's what Manchester City have done, which is why they got so many points over 2 seasons. Liverpool got to do it as well. And that is the crux of whether Liverpool are a really, really good side, which they've looked virtually all of this year, or whether it's a kind of one-season wonder. They've got to go again. There's no reason why they can't, but that is the unknown because they've not had to do it before.
I'm just looking forward to picking up from where we left off. I think we've got an excitable sort of Champions League sort of games to look forward to. We're going to be in pot 1, as far as I'm aware. So that might mean a bit of an easier group than PSG and Napoli. And I'm just really looking forward to see how our players go into this season. I probably shouldn't say this, but my only concern is can the players, domestically speaking, after having 97 points, can they go again to then achieve the 100 points? Because it would be very understandable to see the effort that the players put in this season and think that they can't go again. But I undoubtedly think that Klopp will be able to motivate them and ultimately be able to challenge again. So another really good season to look forward to. I would like to see us take the FA Cup and League Cup a bit more seriously. I think any trophy ultimately is a trophy. And starting with the UEFA Super Cup, that'll be another one that we can hopefully roll in. We can push on and just go from there. Hopefully champions of England for the umpteenth time.
So that's what those contributors think. Thanks to them for taking part. Let us know your views in the comments below. What should Liverpool do next?